before even like move-in day, that's our time to really like prepare for our students to come home necessarily to Carolina. So a lot of the prep for that is just how do we make our buildings, our communities, that home away from home. A lot of like planning goes into it, program planning, some of it with our faculty principal partners, checking bedroom spaces, doing ACRs, RCRs of that nature, giveaways and stuff. So thinking about swag items to like give to our students. Oftentimes on that big welcome home event, community gatherings. So things like that go into like moving.
We'll examine that as it gets closer, just to make sure that we can have them, staffed and taken care of. Once we get a sense of what the check-in process is going to look like for the students.
A lot of times we're not necessarily forward-facing, as that's going to be your RMs and then the building supervisors and coordinators as you run into them. But for us, like I said, we're more the support team behind the scenes to really just make sure that our staffs have what they need to be successful and help them troubleshoot as things come up.
We said we're going to go to a quad.
Yeah, you want to do a quad.
Really what I'd love to do is map out, if we were moving in right now, what would be the signage that would be necessary for, one, just logistics, but also if we can put decor and and things like that in the areas,
then the lobbies and
really make it a memorable experience.
You might get somebody coming from the other side.
I mean, you might have people parked down in that lot by Booker T.
Right. For students, if it's their first time coming into a building, how are they going to know where to go? How are they going to know what check-in looks like when they pull up in their car? But then when you walk into the building, where's the check-in station? How do I get to the elevators? If I'm in room 309, is it to the right or the left when I walk to a T in the hallway? So it's, a lot of simple things that, we probably don't necessarily think of a lot of times because the signage is available to us. COVID opening looks so different from regular opening that there's honestly only a handful of people that have seen a normal opening here.
Yeah.
How far do you want to go to actually have, uniform signage in these spaces of, okay, station 1 is this, station 2 is this. They'll be checked in by one of the resident mentors into our online StarRes portal, which will give them access to their room and to their building, depending if they have a hard key or not. If they do have a hard key, or if they live in a building that requires a hard key to get into their room, they will kind of go to the next check-in location, and so everything is very linear so that it's, stop 1, stop 2. All right, so 101B is 150.
Yes.
I could say dash 1 if that's easier.
No, the dash is fine, but if you wouldn't mind saying the number letter code.
So we'll go through and actually make sure before we pull any more keys as we're getting ready to prep them for move-in, and make sure that we have enough keys for each room as well as a spare key. So the idea behind all of this and the way that it works is we want to make sure that everything is not only accounted for, but also that everything is labeled well, so that when a student walks in and says, I'm moving into 205A, we have that key pulled in its own separate envelope. We can go back and do audits afterwards and see which keys weren't picked up and whether or not students maybe just didn't show up on time, or if they're delayed for whatever reason, then we're aware of those things also.
Bates house.
So these doors would be disarmed, normally open. You would walk in here, everything would take place in that lobby.
What I think has been discussed, there might be a way where you literally come up and it's almost like the South Quad bus stop. Come up, drop, and go. Are there plans set at Bates House and West for where people are going to be checking in? Like, are they going to have access to the lots during that time, or are they coming in the back way where the scaffolding and all that is? All right, cool. All right. So they're going to do the turnaround loop.
Okay, but so check-in's still going to be in the lobby. They're still going to come in.
They're going to make a turnaround point for both buildings.
We start planning traffic patterns early winter, really. The dawn of a new calendar year usually means we've got to start those traffic patterns. We're starting discussions, So the amount of traffic on a day dictates, quite frankly, not only our traffic patterns, but also the way we do our signage.
All right, your next sign is going to be Assembly and Pendleton southbound.
All right, so we're going to add there.
Yes.
And then that's the back. So same thing as last time. If you look left to the right, you're going to see where you need to go.
Okay. We kind of have a 3-tier approach to signage. The first is traffic signs. For instance, at Patterson, South Tower, women's quad, typically think coming up Bull Street because the gates are closed. We work closely with UofSC PD, open those gates on Green Street to provide a different traffic queue to pull people into the parking garage. Our next level is more building signage. This is you kind of getting you from the parking garage or your unloading zone to your building. And then once you get into the building, there's a whole different level of signage that helps you get to check-in, but also helps you with kind of maneuvering the first floor of the building to the elevators or the staircases, as well as to give them those last-minute tips. Like this year, we've got signs throughout the buildings helping them get their devices connected. When students pick a college, oftentimes one of the key points they're picking for college is their housing. What does this university have to offer from housing? So when we get to orientation, you're really to the point where they know what building they're going to be in or a community they're going to be involved in, but they need to know all the information to make sure that they're cleared for move-in, and orientation is a key piece to make sure that they have all the information they need leading up to that move-in day.
Are we doing like a practice presentation?
So you don't have to present. For the most part, yes, I've got to sit there and present it in front of them.
Okay. Hello, friends.
Hey, why did you laugh when I said we get 30 minutes to talk?
I'll let Jackie handle that one.
Oh, the people will decide they want more. Well, good morning. I'm Josh Wise, Director of Communications Marketing for University Housing. And on behalf of everybody at University Housing, we're going to encourage everyone to color their summer garnet. And that's everything you need to know about living on campus this fall. Now, this is going to be a lot like speed dating. Other than that, that's our speed dating. The great part about it is you're all coming home with us this fall. We can't wait to see you there. Here we go. Orientation day one. It's time to do the speech, start giving everybody kind of an overview of what they can expect when they get to Carolina. Orientation speech time. So we're on the way over to the Koger Center to do our first orientation speech, the first of 24. Pretty pumped. See a lot of the orientation leaders. Morning.
How you doing?
How you doing?
Oh, we're good.
Are you really? Hey, we still go down the side? Yep. Okay. So everybody's in right now, here in another session, and we're headed backstage. All right, so we're a little early. UofSC PD is going on now, and then we'll get out there and talk about housing. So, looks like a good crowd.
A lot of questions about housing and raise your name if you do. Well, guess what? They're up next, so we're going to talk a little bit more about housing and social housing.
We're inviting you to color your summer garnet with us as we're going to try to give you all the information you need. Wednesday, the 11th of August is our early move-in if you're rushing a sorority. If not, you'll be moving in on Sunday, August 15th, or Monday, August 16th. Hanging items in the rooms, this is vitally important. This is your chance to look at TikTok and say, man, that room is cool. Do not decorate like TikTok. Many of our students decided to put those cool LED lights up in their room, and it was great, and then they ripped them down as they left, and they paid $125 a wall to have them repainted and fixed so you can have a nice room. Don't let that be you. That's the end of our speed dating round. Thank you. You all get to come home with me this fall, and if you see me around campus, say hello. Thanks, everybody. All right, so we just got through with our first orientation session, telling everybody about move-in. Went pretty good. People seem to be excited and relieved to be back on campus. I know we're excited about them being here, and so now it's kind of up to them to absorb the information and for us to keep communicating throughout the process. Lots still to do. We got to go get started.
That's 20-minute mud.
Right on, see that? Turn up our little temperature.
I work with a lot of absolutely wonderful people around the university. Police are heavily involved because they want to make sure that traffic patterns aren't blocking city streets. Parking obviously has a very key role because they're helping us find locations for students to do drop-off. Greek life, because a large majority of our students who move in early are part of Sorority Rush. The Russell House is involved because we want to make sure they know what's going on move-in day and they're not anticipating huge deliveries in the middle of thousands of cars for move-in. Post office is involved because we certainly want to know where students can pick up packages and we want to get good information out to students. Environmental waste is involved because they're coming by our campus and they are collecting all of the move-in boxes and all of the things that students are unpacking, and they're emptying our dumpsters multiple times a day to serve our students well. So there are just a ton of people who work in the background to really make this experience a positive one for our residents.
We say there's 30,000 students here, but yet it's only affecting, a small pocket, like 7,000 students will take part in this move-in experience. But it's almost a rite of passage. And I think it's important that people know that it's not just housing. It's a network of partnerships and relationships that are built over years that really work hard behind the scenes. And it's sometimes a fight to make sure that we're getting you the very best experience from day one.
I would like to officially bang the gavel for the first meeting of the First Night Carolina celebration for 2021. We are back and ready to party. The purpose of First Night Carolina is to celebrate the start of a semester. It's gone through many phases of what it is, but at its core, it's a celebration of the kickoff of a great semester and the beginning of what tradition is like here at Carolina. I think there's a whole spectrum of emotions that can be accomplished out of this event. Certainly, when you kick it off on the Horseshoe, I hope students can start to get kind of the chill factor of just being in where the university has started. That's where our history is rooted. This year's First Night Carolina's tagline is "Tradition Starts Tonight," because this is really a foundational kind of pillar of an event that is a milestone experience for students that kicks off several more experiences like this throughout the semester. So we want students, when they're doing their first Gamecock chant, to realize how awesome that is to be among thousands of their peers doing that for the first time, their first sandstorm on the Horseshoe as the sun's setting, and then heading over to Green Street and just celebrating what it means to be a Gamecock. We just want that to resonate throughout the student body so that they're just excited for what comes tomorrow at the university and then beyond.
I think what Carolina does well compared to other movements and just from personal experience, at other institutions that I've worked at or been a student at, is really embracing that sense of home and that sense of belonging. So I think we do a good job during moving of emphasizing how much we want this to be their home and also just be their friend, and beyond that, be like that family that they need while they're here, and making them feel comfortable. So I think we do a good job at that, and I love it. I love seeing that.